Today we will be looking at outlining. Following a brief description of outlining, we will look at the article Rites of Initiation, Rites of Passage together before you set off to work on your own. So what is outlining? Outlining is very similar to summarizing, but a more visual format. Outlining is guided by the use of titles, subtitles, and key terms. The use of titles, subtitles, and key terms makes outlining look more like a list, while summarizing looks more like sentences. The same guidelines should be followed as for summarizing, which means not writing too little, not writing too much, not copying word for word, etc. Let's take a look now at Rites of Initiation, Rites of Passage. And so here we have the Rites of Initiation, Rites of Passage worksheet. The questions 1 and 2 I will leave for you to answer on your own. What we will be looking for is completing an outline of preparing for womanhood, preparing for manhood, crying for a vision ceremony, the sweat lodge ceremony, the Sundance ceremony. If you take a look at the article itself, you can see it is broken down into these headings: preparing for womanhood, preparing for manhood, crying for a vision ceremony, the sweat lodge ceremony, and the Sundance ceremony. The descriptions in this article are quite detailed, so when making an outline, be sure you have enough detail so you can really understand what they're talking about. So let's begin. Rites of Initiation, Rites of Passage. Sweetgrass, sage, tobacco, and cedar are used by the Oglala Sioux for purification of 6 of the 7 rites: the keeping of the soul, the Inipi rite of purification or sweat lodge, crying for a vision, Wiwanyag Wachipi or the Sundance, Hunkapi, the making of relatives rite, Ishna Ta'awi Cha Lowen, preparing a girl for womanhood rite. The term born twice clearly indicates the true role of rites of passage. When circumstances or personal choices bring us to the brink of dying to the old ways and being reborn again, we can initiate ourselves with rites of passage, symbolically linked to ancestral ways of doing things. Traditionally, the first initiation rite occurs at times that mark onset of social or physical puberty. At that time, we endure rites of separation from the asexual world, which are usually followed by rites of incorporation into the world of sexuality and, in all societies and all social groups, into a group confined to persons of one sex or another. Sweetgrass, sage, and cedar are used by the Makah and the Oglala Sioux in the coming-of-age ceremonies for boys and girls. Preparing for womanhood. So as we are reading this section, we're going to note the key ideas. You can see again on the worksheet that we're looking for main ideas and key terms. So let's begin with main ideas. From the time a Lakota girl child is 8 or 9, grandmothers and grandfathers begin the Hunkapi, the preparation for the menstrual cycle. A grandmother is chosen and paid to accompany the child wherever she goes until marriage. Watching over the girl child, grandmother acts as the bear, the protector of virgins. A grandfather is chosen and given gifts in honor of his gift of time. He will spend many nights over the course of a year doing vision fasting on behalf of the girl initiate. In these vision fasts, he receives instructions as to the child's nature and destiny. Information on special diet, her colors, animal helpers, and clothing may be received, and instructions to prepare her for her role in the tribe. All right, so let's take a look. What is important here? I would say one important idea is that Hunkapi is the preparation for the menstrual cycle, and it begins when the child is 8 or 9. Let's take a look over here. Main idea. Hunkapi begins when a girl is 8 or 9. Okay. Hunkapi is also a key term, so I'm going to add that right now. Hunkapi is getting ready for menstruation. Let's take a look at what else is important. A grandmother and a grandfather are chosen to protect her. There's another key idea. A grandmother is chosen to protect her. And actually, I'm going to put this as the second one. A grandmother is chosen to protect her, and a grandfather is chosen to vision quest on her behalf. Here I'm going to add a little note because I think there's a little bit more that's important about the grandfather. He learns info about her animal, colors, and role in the tribe. So as you can see, we're really beginning to look like a list. Let's go back and see the next paragraph. When the young virgin has her first menstruation period, we make a celebration marking the end of Hunkapi. The girl with her closest family members and the elder man and woman, her protector guides, do a sweat lodge ceremony. At the sweat lodge, grandmother sings a song to invoke the bear, the protector of virgins. At this sweat lodge ceremony, the elders give the girl advice received on her behalf in their vision quests. After the sweat lodge, there is a feast and a ceremony of gift giving from the family to the grandfather and grandmother who have taken the spiritual responsibility of vision fasting for the child. All right, what's important here? I think it's important that Hunkapi ends when the girl gets her first period, and also that a sweat lodge takes place at the end of Hunkapi. So let's add that to our outline. Hunkapi ends when the girl gets her first period. Celebrated with a sweat lodge and gifts for the grandmother and grandfather. Very nice. All right. Last paragraph. The next ceremony is the presentation of the feather from the breast of the spotted eagle. It is called Ishna, and it is a preparation for marriage and childbirth. It is a ceremony for the entire community. It begins with the ritual purification of the young woman's new clothing over a smoke of sweetgrass and sage. She is helped into her new clothing and her face is painted in red, symbolizing rebirth. Then 4 men bring a bear robe and carry the young woman on it. They speak at length about her ancestors, detailed stories about the lives of her family. The young girl is praised by members of the community. The 4 men burn sage and sweetgrass above the young woman's body, and she receives a stalk of corn, a symbol of the making of relatives. This is a ceremony she will perform later in life. The young woman leads the tribe in a circular clockwise dance. This is a ritual that takes place outdoors, usually in August. She hears for the first time her own honor song, a song just for her that will be sung every time she is honored and remembered and sung for the last time on the days following her death. At this time, she receives the plume from the breast of the spotted eagle. This symbolizes her virginity. On the day she loses her virginity, she puts the plume aside for someone else. All right, so I'd say what is important here is the celebration of Ishna. So that will be a key idea and a key term. So let's see. Ishna. Oops. Ishna is celebrated with the community. And here again, I'm going to add some details. The girl is given an eagle feather, which she will keep until she loses her virginity. Right, and then the girl is honored her clothing, I should specify, her clothing is purified and she is saying her honor song. I realize there's a lot more detail in the actual article, but remembering that a summary or an outline is supposed to be a brief version. I am also going to include in key terms Ishna. Ishna. And this is the celebration preparing for marriage and childbirth. So you can see here that it appears like a list. Main ideas and the bullet points, then key terms in the bullet points. Now it is up to you to continue along, beginning with preparing for manhood and working your way through the rest of the article.